Well, hey, everybody, it's Aloha Friday. Adrian, who do we have today?
Our guest is the president of Lima Charlie INC. He's been in California real estate market for over 15 years and has been involved in numerous residential reconditioning, construction, housing, and rental management projects. He served 2 tours in Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, 8 years in the United States Army, and is also a strong supporter of housing missions and revitalization projects throughout the state and federal government. Please welcome our guest, David Waldbauer.
Hey, David, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Well, I didn't know that you were prior Army or prior service. So
yeah, Adrian's prior Army.
Yes, that's how I got to Hawaii. So.
Oh yeah. That's amazing.
Yes. So you were serving the country and fighting the war, and now you're fighting for housing.
That's right. Yeah, there was a need and we filled it, Yeah.
Well, we had some exciting news. Why don't you, in a nutshell, basically we are talking about the unfortunate destructive fires in Lahaina on Maui. And so we want to talk about what seems to be what would be at the top of mind for anybody in that situation where your home burned to the ground and you're either in a shelter with your family, or if your family might be spread out amongst a bunch of different shelters. So if you are these people or you know these people, you probably want to hear the rest of the message that we have today. And David,
or if you own housing close to Lahaina,
yes,
it was not affected by the fire. Yes.
Yeah, anywhere in Maui, you have a house that's got electricity, running water, and everything's functional.
Yep.
So David, speak to these to the victims and these property owners. What's the good news?
I'll try to do it justice. I'll try to do the best I can. So we're a government contractor and we work with FEMA after natural disasters in long-term housing. So one thing that I can strongly urge all the survivors would be to go ahead and apply for FEMA assistance. This is how they know how many survivors are out there and what missions to allocate for contractors like ourselves to come in and help. And the way we do that is we connect individuals with housing. That could be a hotel, it could be an Airbnb, it could be a long-term rental, it could be anything with a kitchen set up for long-term housing, and we connect the two together. So we set up everything for all the survivors, and FEMA connects them with the availability in the region. So it's a really great way to help everybody and create a win-win.
Yeah, one of the repeating message that I want to have out there for people out seeing this information and maybe up in the mainland and thinking about their vacation plans for coming up. We know that individuals or the messaging you may have seen on social media as don't come to Maui, but that would be not something that would be helpful for the local people there, because 80% of the economy is based on tourism. And we do have family on the island supporting the people that had their homes burned down, and they still got to go to work. And we have business owners that are doing food drives and having to, reduce their workforces by 70% because the visitor count is down. The only thing that we do ask of you is just don't go out to the Lahaina area to be looky-looks and nosy about the situation. But in addition to sending money, the best way that you can support the people of Lahaina is that if you had plans to visit Maui, continue on and go and visit the rest of the island. It's beautiful. Adrian, what else?
So I wanted to have David clarify. So your company, you make the match, but what else do you do as far as like the lease, the money?
Yeah, how do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, let's get some details out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way in the initial disaster, we don't have any part of that. After everything is settled, we're a long-term housing provider. So the individuals that have been put in hotels and shelters, we come after the fact and we put them in long-term housing. This could be 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, could be a condo. So we go in and we look at anybody and everybody who has available housing. Now, if you registered for FEMA, the disaster, and registered on their website, and they approved you, they will take our housing and match you with the local housing. And then what happens is we'll come along and we'll rent the unit from you. We'll set it up for them, take care of it, and we'll make sure that all the bills are paid, that the housing is good, and we bridge the gap between the federal government and local housing so that all the survivors can have a place that they don't have to worry about making the bills while they're trying to get back up on their feet, and still get to work and still have a place to where they can reasonably get to school or get to work while they're getting back up into their normal daily lives. It's a great program that the government puts on.
So
Yeah,
David,
and
how does this work for an empty unit? Because it's like, there's going to be some that are, like a timeshare, maybe it has a kitchen, others maybe a vacation rental. But what about for the homes that are empty? How do you support the families that you're matching with those homes?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody that has available units, it's better to present it to us so that we can present it to FEMA. And just based on the rent, based on the furnishing, based on the utilities, there is a budget, but most of the time it's just based on the market. So obviously Maui has not as many housing as, let's say, the mainland. And so a lot of those Airbnbs are still in play because the government still wants to house those survivors. So maybe we can make a match with how much you're making and how much is paying the bills. And we can make a match on that fiscal amount that you need per month to help individuals that are surviving. And we also offer 12 to 18-month leases, and sometimes it can go all the way up to 3 years. It just depends on the survivors and their needs for housing.
yeah, we have people that have vacation rentals, and maybe the bookings are dropping off, and they're concerned like how they're going to make their mortgage payments. And I would say that, um, not necessarily being greedy or anything like that, or be fair in your expectation of not having vacation rental rates for a long-term lease, and know that if you're going to switch it up into a long-term lease, that it has to be more of a reasonable rate that works for your company and the FEMA guidelines. And so it'll be kind of not necessarily just doing the right thing just to do the right thing because you're Mother Teresa, but making it a win-win where you have stabilized income coming in for your property, you're making your mortgage and your property tax and insurance payments, and you're helping with the people that have been displaced out of Lahaina and being backed by the government, right?
That's correct. Yeah. And it keeps
So,
them full for months at a time.
Yes.
David, if there are some property owners that are watching, how do they get their properties registered with you? Like, what's the best way for them to get on, to be part of your housing?
Get on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we have a form on our website, and what people are currently doing is they're just registering within that form, and under the description, they're giving us their contact information, what they have available, and we're reaching out to them immediately to make sure that we let them know that we've gotten their information, we're putting them on the list, and that we'll keep them up to date as the government makes their transitions into this housing.
Yeah. Oh, and tell us about the name. How did you get, what's the meaning of the name? I mean, it sounds like a police call sign, but maybe something from the military. But what does Lima Charlie mean, Inc.?
So this is a shout out for all the military out there. Obviously,
Yeah.
Lima Charlie is the alphabetic code. So at every message, when you're done transmitting, you say Lima Charlie, which means we read you loud and clear. It was a
Nice.
message that we wanted to put out there. Everybody who comes to Lima Charlie, we read you loud and clear.
Nice.
So yeah, we want to make sure that we're listening to everybody that we work with on both sides.
Gotcha.
So
And
I just wanted to give a backstory with how we got connected to David. So Ron is not on this interview because he's traveling right now in Portugal, but we've known his partner, Ron, for well over 10 years. Great guy, does a lot of good in the community. And Ron had reached out to us to let us know that he wanted to come in and help. And I know that there's a lot of, I think there's kind of a lot of distrust right now happening with a lot of, maybe misinformation. So, we're here to introduce, David and his company. as like they are, they've been vetted. We've known his partner for over 10 years. So, sign your property up. They're here to help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have outstanding reviews. We post everything that we've done. We're out of Florida. We're out of Louisiana, Kentucky. We've been in California. And so, yeah, let us know. Let us help. Let us know what we could do for you.
Yeah. And we just want to make our messaging today short and sweet so people can start getting on the website, registering so for you property owners out there, the biggest thing that you can do to help support yourselves and the victims of the Lahaina fires is to get on there and get your property up on there. What's the timeline that we're looking at, from this moment forward for somebody to get into a property or for a property owner to get qualified on this list?
Yeah, so every mission is different, just depending on the necessity and the need. I've seen a couple of months and I've seen a couple of weeks. So currently the contract is open. So we are currently putting up all the houses and everything that we possibly can get our hands on right now. And it's due at the end of the month. So shortly after that, we would have more understanding of how soon it would be, but it could be anywhere to a month or less.
Yeah. Okay. And Adrian, you had a question?
I know that we had brought you on to the Keller Williams Maui meeting, and all of the agents there were super excited about this this program and to introduce some of their clients. And they had some really good questions. I know one of the agents had already opened up her home and is housing somebody, and I don't know what she's charging, if anything at all. So if you're in that situation, what would be the best process to follow?
What will be your recommendation?
Yeah.
Well, offer up the unit, give us your situation on the website, and let us work with you.
Yeah.
So you guys may be able to get to sign a lease and start to compensate the homeowner rather than them just they're basically letting people stay there for free at this point. But FEMA should be able to do some
Could be a possibility, yeah.
That's right. They can get reimbursed, or they can start getting a paycheck so that they can pay their bills and not offer it up. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then the last thing I want to leave the people with, you guys didn't just come up with this program because you slept in a Holiday Inn last night. Talk about the actual hands-on projects you guys have worked on in the past, what you're working on now, so people have an idea that you guys, this is not something you just came up with in the moment. You've been doing this for a bit.
Yeah, we've been at this for 3 years. So we were in the Chico fires. We're currently working Florida. We're out of Louisiana. We're bidding on Vermont, and we're in Mississippi currently.
Gotcha.
And then what do you see is the biggest difference between Maui and all these other places that you've worked in or that you're currently helping?
So the biggest difference is Maui surrounded by an ocean.
Yeah.
So it's
resources. Yeah.
Resources, getting there. There's a lot that's different, and that's why we're reaching out to locals to help us get the word out.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I know when I spoke to Ron, part of your guys' setup or program is to getting furniture or get the houses ready, and there's some limited resources as far as what's actually on islands. So I mean, hopefully we'll have a solution for that fairly soon, right?
That's correct.
I know that's another logistical challenge with Maui versus all these other places that you've been in.
That's why a lot of the times furnished housing is perfect because it's ready to go.
Vacation rentals.
And they can get right in.
Yeah. That reminds me of my days in college. We take 2 cinder blocks and put wood over the top. That's your
with a pallet.
That's your coffee table. And then you just stack more cinder blocks, and then you have dining room table. So
that's impressive.
Well, and I think at the joking aside is that people, part of the coming back and the rebuilding process emotionally and psychologically is just being in a place where it's in their own place, not on a cot in the gym, but being in their own place, because it's really hard to get functioning back up mentally, and then, you know, maybe going and finding another job, and then supporting everybody if you don't have a place to come to together as a family to support each other. So thank you so much for this program and getting the word out. And yeah, so everybody just go to the website, start submitting the properties, right? And then for the victims, make sure, even if it's their long lines and it seems bureaucratic, you get on that FEMA list.
That's correct. That's how they know how many people that they're going to expect to house.
Yes. Okay, and then that would be it for now.
All right.
Okay,
Sorry.
thanks so much.
Thank you so much for
All right.
having us on.
Thank you for all
Appreciate
you're
everything.
doing, and we look forward to helping to, you know, make some matches
Yes.
for, you know, our people over in Lahaina.
All
That
right,
would be
property
amazing.
owners, reach in, property owners. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Bye, David.
Bye.